Chuck's Culture Channel. I'm talking with Tom Ridgley, the producing artistic director of Shakespeare Festival, St. Louis. The festival celebrates its 25th season this summer with a special gala at the Sheldon Concert Hall on May 15th, a new production of Hamlet, May 28th through June 22nd, and from July 8th through August 17th, Romeo and Zooliet, a wild new play at the St. Louis Zoo featuring puppets by Michael Curry Design and direction by Tom Ridgley. Okay, Tom Ridgley, this is the 25th anniversary season, and you're starting off with a big gala on the 15th of May at the Sheldon. So tell us a little bit about that.
Well, it'll hopefully just be a big celebration, a big thank you for everyone who's been a part of the festival's journey over the last 25 years. Got a lot of artists coming back, a lot of founding board members, and artistic directors and managing directors. So that's really fun for us. But it's going to be mostly about the festival's impact around St. Louis since 2001, which is pretty incredible. And so there'll be cocktails and a dinner upstairs in the beautiful Sheldon Ballroom, but then we're going to be going downstairs, and this part is open to the public. Anybody can come to this for a very special program called Thinking Shakespeare Live. And that's presented by an incredible guy named Barry Edelstein, who runs the Old Globe out in San Diego. And he wrote a book called Thinking Shakespeare, which is just, I think, the greatest book ever written for actors, directors, people whose job it is to take Shakespeare from the page and bring it to the stage. Because Shakespeare is or Barry is just a brilliant Shakespearean, and he just makes his writing so clear and accessible. I think sometimes there's a little bit of intimidation factor around Shakespeare. Am I going to understand it? Am I going to be able to follow it? Is it going to sound weird? And he sort of cracks the code to that. He sort of helps actors in particular deliver it and and act it and live it and perform it in a way that sounds like people talking.
Yeah.
And that's, of course, how it was meant to be received. So he's got this incredible program where he sort of reveals different ways that Shakespeare wrote, how actors can turn that into living, breathing performances. And then he's got actors with him who will demonstrate those ideas and those techniques that Shakespeare used with a bit of a scene or a bit of a monologue. So he's compared it to Bernstein's concerts for kids that Leonard Bernstein used to do at the New York Philharmonic, where
The young
you
kids
talk about Beethoven in such a beautiful way, and then the Philharmonic would play it, and you would appreciate it so much more by understanding a little bit about what's behind it. And it would just allow you to relax a little bit and just enjoy the music and appreciate it that much more. So I think you have that same experience with Shakespeare after you've heard him talk about it. And he's just a really funny, entertaining speaker and presenter. So I think it's going to be a great, great night.
Right. And, speaking as a semi-retired actor who has done a fair amount of Shakespeare, there is a bit of a learning curve there. But what you're saying is exactly what I have always done on stage, which is to say the lines as though I were speaking contemporary English.
Yeah.
I'm thinking, I'm aware of the meter the whole time, but it's like I'm not saying Shakespeare, I'm talking to the other actors. And I think that's what you do.
Yeah, there's a trap you can fall into, which is that Shakespeare characters talk in this very unusual way because some of the language feels a little unusual. But there's also moments of Shakespeare that are very simple and plain, and it's exactly how we would say the same thing today. So if they are speaking in a strange way, it's because, and we do this too, right, Chuck? You and I occasionally we will use big words, or we'll unspool a longer, more complex thought, but it's because we're trying to express something extraordinary. And that's what Shakespeare characters are doing almost all the time, right? They're sort of in an extraordinary circumstance. They're trying to put it into words. But the cool thing about Barry is he pulls out some of the things where it's like, you know what, we actually don't talk this way this much anymore. We don't realize we're talking this way. And so if we can realize the ways that we talk this way today, we can layer those on top of the way the Shakespearean characters talk. And it sounds much more, it's easier to understand. And once you understand, you just relax and enjoy the story.
Speaking of extraordinary things, the show in the park this year is the Big E, the K2 of Shakespeare tragedies, Hamlet, and you've got a special director coming in for this.
We do. A guy by the name of Michael Sexton, who was a great old friend, but also an incredible director and dramaturg, and like another great Shakespearean. He ran the Shakespeare programs at the Public for a number of years. Before that, an organization in New York called the Shakespeare Society. And lately, he's been called in a lot. When Broadway does Shakespeare, they tend to call Michael Sexton, and he'll come in and help them out. He just did the Romeo and Juliet, a number of other recent of the Shakespeare productions on Broadway. So brilliant director. He's got a brilliant vision for the play, and he's brought together just a really incredible company of actors. I've never been so excited for a group of artists to come together in St. Louis. About half are from New York, half are from here in St. Louis, to put on a play. So I think it's just going to be a really exciting performance for our big 25th anniversary year in the Glen.
Okay, so we talked about the gala, we talked about Hamlet. How about the brand new thing you're doing this year? Because I think it may require a little explanation. Romeo and Zooliet.
That's right, Romeo and Zooliet. Well, kind of like it sounds in the title, we've sort of taken Shakespeare and Zoo and mashed them up together. Yeah, it's this wonderful new partnership with the St. Louis Zoo, where we'll be presenting, after Hamlet is done in the Glen, we'll be presenting a family-friendly, animal-themed version of Romeo and Juliet in the zoo. And that'll be from, July 8th to August 17th. It'll be in the evenings, 6 nights a week at the zoo. If you can picture, there's a grassy valley in the middle, in between the birdhouse and the reptile house and the sea lions and big cat country. It's sort of like a mini Shakespeare Glen. So we're going to be turning that into, this beautiful natural amphitheater. And the idea is, what happens at night when all the zookeepers leave and go home? The animals come out, and what else do they do but put on Shakespeare for each other?
Of course.
Of course, what else would they do? So the actors in this version of Romeo and Juliet are zoo animals, and it's though they're putting it on for the other animals in the zoo who have snuck out of their cages at night, let's say, or their habitats. So Juliet is a grizzly bear. Romeo is a prairie dog, because it's the carnivores and the herbivores. It's sort of predator and prey is the Montague and Capulet divide in this show. But the really cool thing is that these animals are being brought to life by the same folks who did the animals for the Lion King and Frozen on Broadway and a whole lot of other theme parks and entertainments. It's Michael Curry Design is the company that creates a lot of these life-size puppets. So there's gonna be a whole variety of different kinds of really beautiful animals that are gonna be bringing this to life in the Glen or in the zoo every night.
Okay, so this is kind of like the Japanese bunraku puppet tradition where the performer's right there on stage, but they disappear because you're so taken with the puppet, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. Yeah. A matter of fact, I think there's a dozen, maybe, or 14 puppets in the show, and 3 of them, Juliet and Mercutio and Tybalt too, are very much in that bunraku style. Yeah, where it's sort of out in front and the puppeteers behind it, and yeah, that you sort of stop paying attention at a certain point. But it is also always there. You've always got the actor's face available. They're not hidden in a big kind of like mascot costume. You get to see both the puppet and the puppeteer, which Julie Taymor called this great double event,
Yes.
or, which is part of what makes Lion King so magical, is that you're getting both. And something happens to your brain. It's very interesting the way it kind of combines those things. And you just start to believe that these animals are real because they seem like an extension of the person who is very real.
Yeah, yeah, that was my experience exactly. So that sounds like fun. Well, it sounds like a great 25th season. And of course, people want to know more. They can go to stlshakes.org on the web, and all the information's there. So, Tom, thanks so much for taking some time to talk about this, and have a great summer. It sounds like it's going to be a great hit.
Thanks, Chuck. This was a lot of fun.
You're welcome. Bye bye.
Bye.